Perdition's End. An owl house tale written by Old Ben Knotty. May I stand unshaken, amidst a crash of worlds, the hoods of Princess Twilight, like a stone skimming across a pond's surface, faintly echoed across the inside of her castle. Starlight Glimmer sat opposite, a light in her eyes. "Twilight," she cried as she saw the Alicorn princess approach. "Twilight, I found the problem with our spell." The Princess of Friendship smiled. She knew, of all ponies, Starlight would be the one to find out the issue. "The issue is," explained Starlight, "that Philip has spent so long in the demon realm that the spell can't quite focus on which realm it thinks Philip belongs to. The spell isn't sure if he is Philip Whatever or Ambrose. If we bring him here, the remnants of the Tree of Harmony in this castle ought to be able to send him back to the realm he belongs in." Twilight's face became a frown of concentration. "That implies, if he is still considered to be Ambrose by the Tree of Harmony, that the spell should send him back to the Boiling Isles," said Twilight, carefully, and Starlight nodded. Twilight grinned, and Starlight trotted back over to the map, gesturing to it with her hoof. "Now, as some pony who is, well, a little too much experience with the map of Harmony," said Starlight, blushing at the unfortunate memory, "I happen to know that, when the spell is cast and a portal appears to the other realm, it should appear on this map as a sigil, or a glyph." "You mean like a kid like Yellow Eye?" "Yes, that would," Starlight trailed off. Right on the western side of the map, around Sweet Apple Acres, there lay an unblinking Yellow Eye. "Are you sure this is a good idea, Applebloom?" The voice of Sweetie Belle rang throughout the swaying trees of Sweet Apple Acres. "Maybe there was a reason your sister told you to stay away from Philip." "I don't know, Sweetie Belle," replied Scootaloo. "From what I heard, Rainbow Dash told me that Philip was actually pretty cool. Kinda withdrawn and a bit spooky at times, but hey, we've all seen much worse than that." "Cool or not," said Applebloom, steadfast, "no pony deserves to be run out of town like that after making new friends for the first time. If he was such a bad guy, why did no pony else have a problem with him?" "No, I reckon AJ just overreacted to something Philip said. He is from another world, after all." "Your sister isn't the type to overreact," countered Sweetie Belle. "Come on, are you kidding?" replied Scootaloo. "Remember that heartwarming, when the Pie family had different traditions so she tried to change all of them. Sounds pretty much like an overreaction to me." Applebloom scowled at Scootaloo's story, but she didn't contradict her, partly because she wanted to meet this mysterious Philip and partly because Scootaloo was right. "Guess I'm outvoted," said Sweetie Belle, defeated. "Come on, guy, let's," said Scootaloo, suddenly, causing all to hush. "There's someone there." The Cutie Mark Crusaders, who at this point were more than used to hiding from things, leapt behind a bush to spy on whomever was there. "So, this is what Blow sent up," came a young, female voice. "Do you think we should warn the locals about him?" "PFFT," came a much older, snarkier voice. It came from the tall, lanky figure that walked ahead of the first one. "What they don't know won't hurt them. That is, unless that creep has wormed his way into their good graces, that is." The CMC hardly dared to move as insects and spiders crawled beneath their hooves. A small, horned, furry figure was rushing up behind them. "Weh, weh, weh," it panted as it ran towards them. Suddenly, it stopped, sniffed the air, and looked right in the direction of the CMC. Sweetie Belle gasped, only to be picked up in two long, tan arms. "Oh, aren't you just the cutest woodiest little Jekka?" cried the figure, and as she was being coddled, Sweetie Belle noticed, on her shoulder, a tiny purple snake-like creature with a sharp point on its tail. It slithered down the figure's arm and leapt atop her wooden staff, turning to a steel carving atop it. "All right, Luz, that's enough," came the voice of the older figure. "Etta, stop fraternizing with the local wildlife." She let Sweetie Belle go, who retreated a few steps, then looked up at the figures silhouetted against the moon. "Who are you?" stuttered Sweetie Belle, "and why are you here?" "We're here for some ill-fashioned revenge," cried the little cat creature with the skull in its head. "Say, you haven't seen someone pass through here who looks like a giant skeleton dropped in black, sticky ooze? Or a guy with a stupid beard? Budman loves, he sometimes uses that form when he wants to gain people's trust, before he stabs them in the back, that is. Goes by the name of Blows, or Philip. Sweetie Belle looked over to the other two, who gave her stop motions. "Oh," said Sweetie Belle, blushing. She never did well under pressure like this, and she saw Etta give her a skeptical eyebrow raise. "We haven't seen any pony like that. Are you sure you came to the right world?" "Okay, kid," said Etta, and Sweetie Belle gulped. "I'm gonna make this real easy for you. Tell us where Philip is, and we leave this place in peace." He's weak now, should be easy to beat, especially in an namby-pamby world like this one. Hey! Shouted Scooter, leaping out of the bushes, you can't just come into our world and demand we give up our friends to you. Philip is not your friend. Luz cutting, he's a liar, and he just wants power. It's all he's ever wanted. He gets close to you, he makes all sort of compliments and promises, and the moment you turn your back, he stabs it. Applebum jumped out of the bush, and all three crusaders stared back at the witches of the demon realm. Don't really know, to be honest, she said. I've never really met him, and my sister seems to think he's a bad guy. Hey, said Ada, more softly this time, when we're done, you ought to introduce me to this sister. She sounds like my kindred gal, we could share stories over cups of apple blood. Well, said Applebum, smiling, I don't know about apple blood, but I could convince her to come up with a mug of cider for you. There, see? Said King, as they walked back to the apple farm, we'll get this sorted out in no time. That lousy half-bit, two-timing snake wrangler. Applejack slammed her mug of cider down on the table as Etta, with interjections from King and Luz, finished her tale of the evil Emperor Blos in his reign over the boiling isles. Gee, said Sweetie Belle, scratching her head, I was suspicious and all, but even I never thought Philip, or rather Blos, could be that bad. When a guy turns into a giant deck demon and nearly kills you with cursed demon breath, you kinda hold a grudge, said Luz, tickling King. Luckily for us, we have more than enough Titan's blood to send ourselves back home, so that isn't an issue. What really is a problem is finding Blos, and I think you guys would be the answer to that, considering how you know these lands so well. About that, Applejack looked uncomfortable. As much as I want to say Blos captured for what he's done, I can't really offer y'all any help until the princess gives us the go-ahead. She's visiting in Ponyville, shouldn't be more than a couple of hours there and back again. Perhaps she could even give us a spell or two. Haven't you been listening to anything I just said? Replied Etta, we don't have powers. Blos is a monster, plain and simple, and the more access he has to this realm and his magic, the more danger you're in. And worse, if he gets powerful enough, he could come back to the Boiling Isles and destroy them once again and, frankly, I don't think we can stomach that creep burning us again. She slammed the table, and even Luz and King stepped back, wide-eyed at her fury. Applejack, however, was unperturbed. Now listen here, Missy, she said, cool and calm, all you said about Blos may be true, but you're still in my land, worse, my home. I don't know how it works in your demon realm, but round here, only the princess can give me orders. I can't stop any of you doing whatever it is y'all are doing, but if y'all have any respect for my world, you will let Princess Twilight handle this. Edis ducked, taken aback by Applejack's ornery stand. But when the orange earth pony looked back, she was the one to retreat in horror. Edda's eyes were fiery yellow, and feathery wings were sprouting from her back. Applejack was reminded of the bedtime stories of terrible, disgusting harpies from the dark times of Gregor's rule. Her voice took on a deep, rumbling, echoing quality that put Applejack in mind of the horrors of Queen Chrysalis. You ask me if I have any respect for this namby-pamby world, where even hicks like you bow and scrape before royalty, where you offer help to traitors who try to destroy my world, where you think you can command me and my friends to let people like Emperor Blos go. Well, I guess I don't, partner. She said those last lines in a mocking, southern twang, then with a screech, burst through the roof of Sweet Apple Acres, silhouetted against the full moon, then flew out across the apple trees on the hunt for her prey, the former Emperor Blos. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed the video make sure to like and leave a comment.